So in this video, we're going to look at question number 2. So we are using the data is related to a medical drug sales. And as all the other time series data, the first task we will do is to creating line plot and to see if we see any seasonality, any trend, because we know if the data is not stationary, that means if they do have a trend and a seasonality, we need to consider not using moving average or exponential smoothing, but try to consider use the linear trend model or nonlinear trend model or etc. Right? So if the data is stationary, we can use moving average and exponential smoothing. Okay, and then here, that's why we're gonna look at the line plot first, and then after that, now we will actually gonna see the pattern of the data to determine that we actually want to try the nonlinear trend regression model. Okay, so let's look at the data together. So in the second tab, the drugs, so we are looking at the revenue here. Let's just plot my data first. So we do insert. At this point, you should be very familiar with how to create a line chart, right? So we click this one, choose 2D line, and then we're gonna collect the select data. And then we're gonna collect the at. Series name is revenue here, and then for the series value, we will select from B2 to B11, and then push enter, and then click OK. And then we don't need to adjust in this one because the year is also sequentially labeled, so it's totally fine. It is exactly what we are looking for here. So we can click OK. Okay, so now you see the difference, right? In the previous linear trend model. Okay, let me go back here. We actually don't see a linear trend here. We also don't see the curvature. We actually see a straight line up, right? But for the drug one, you actually can see it's a little bit of curvature. Okay, so in this situation, we consider the model we should use in the second order of the x variable to capture the curvature. Okay, we still see the linear trend, still see the upward trend, but it have a curvature. So in order to capture the curvature, we need to create two variables. Okay, first, similar as we did for the time trend model, I'm creating time index first. So basically, that is the sequential number from the 1 to the last period. Okay. So we did exactly the same thing as what we did for the linear trend model in the previous video. The difference here is we want to creating the square term to capture that curvature we see in the line chart. Okay. Oh, by the way, forgot to mention, so since we've seen the trend, so this data is not stationary, so we cannot use a moving average or exponential smoothing. Therefore, we are looking at the time trend model. But we try to include in the non-linear trend, right? So now creating the second x variables, so the time index square, so the value for time index square equal to, we are selecting the value for time index and then square it. And then we select this value again, move the mouse to the right down corner and drag it down. Okay, now we have revenue. This is my y variable, right? And we have my time index, so this is my x1, right? So, and then the time index square, so that will be my x2. What we're gonna do is we are just using the multiple linear regression model to estimate this equation, right? Okay, let's go to data tab. Under the data tab, we select the data analysis, and then we will choose regression, and I'll click OK. So for our y range, click this little arrow. We are selecting from B1 to B11 and click arrow again. For the x range, click this little arrow, select C to D column. And after you select, click this arrow. And then don't forget check the box labels, because when I initially select the data, my first row are included, they are labels. And also, I want to mention for the x range, you want to make sure your x variable literally next to each other. So there is no empty column between them, or there's no unused variable between them, right? So for instance, if you have x variable here, x variable 2 here, but a y variable there, you cannot run regression. You actually have to move all the x variable next to each other first. Okay, I will put this one in the new worksheet. Let me just call it nonlinear trend model. Nonlinear trend model. Okay, so now I have everything I needed. What I will do is I will click OK. Okay, and then I'm gonna keep my data with 2 decimal places. Okay, I got my value I needed. Okay, let me zoom in. Okay. As you can see in this model, what we try to estimating is y hat equal to b0, which is my y-intercept, so 24.18, and then minus 2.11, that's my x1, so that's my time index, right? So that's measure my term, and then plus 0.92, so that's time index square. And then if you look at the p-value, so actually you notice that our square term is more significant. It's actually statistically significant. So that means it is the right way to include in my square term. Not surprising, the x1 is not statistically significant. So actually we have a multicollinearity problem here. That's totally fine. The goal for the time series model is try to forecasting y hat. It is fine. We have some variable there have a correlation with the other x variable, because we just want to make sure our final forecasting result is accurate. So sometimes we might end up slightly overfitting the model. So that's totally okay. Okay, so now this is the regression output. So based on this result, we actually can forecasting. As you can see, the data we have is 10th years. So if you want to forecast in the 15th years, so let's say we want to see the 15th year's sale to do that calculation. So for the 15th year, if you look at the time index value, so that will equivalent to 15, and then corresponding to the time index square is 250. Okay, so then we just plug in these two values to the equation we estimated. That will give us the value for the number of sale we are estimating here. So 24.18 minus 2.11 times 15. Remember 15 years. And plus 0.92 times 225, right? Because that's the square. Oh, that's the square term, 225. Okay, so then my forecast for the 15th year is gonna be $1,990,000 sales revenue for this drugs company. Okay, so this is the nonlinear trend model. Again, we are not using that because we want to use it. We use it because when we're developing the line plot, we see the slightly curvature, and we want to fit the data with this the model with the curve can capture this curvature.